those two players, and they'll add them to their team. So they'll play with 7, and the other team will play with 3. They are diminishing the amount of representation that people of color will have in the state of Texas. Republicanism is being equated to racism too often in this country, and that is not the case. Republicanism has always been about conservative policies, but now they're about racist policy. This president is injecting racism into presidential policy. It is unconstitutional. I'm going to fight it, but more than that, I'm going to tell the truth about it. And if I happen to be one of those who is extricated, who is removed, evicted, if I happen to be one of those, I will be bloodied but not unbowed. Nobody is going to silence me. You can come after me, but you won't stop me, you won't silence me. I refuse to allow republicanism in the form of racism to dictate the policies in the state of Texas without my voice being heard. And finally this. Friends, I have on my Texas tie. I'm proud to represent my state.
The gentleman's time's expired.
And I'm proud to say I stand against republicanism as racism.
Members are reminded to refrain from engaging in personalities towards the president. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Bean, for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, a beam is a ray of light, a symbol of hope, and for more than 40 years, Beam in Jacksonville Beach, Florida, has been that light, delivering hope and help to Northeast Floridians in need. It started in 1985 by representatives of local churches who saw people needing a hand up. And so today, I rise the 40th anniversary of Beach's Emergency Assistance Ministry, BEAM, a lifeline for families facing hardship in eastern Duval County. Places like Mayport, Jacksonville Beach, Neptune Beach, Atlantic Beach, from keeping the lights on to filling the pantry, supporting seniors and single parents, BEAM continues to show up with compassion and care. Now, Mr. Speaker, I know what you're thinking. 40 years old, and they don't look a day over 29. That is true. And what's also true is their volunteers and benefactors are everyday heroes, quietly providing critical services to thousands of neighbors each year. And as our community has grown and changed, BEAM has remained a constant source of light, guiding families through tough times with warmth, direction, and hope. Today we celebrate more than a milestone. We celebrate that ray of light that is never dimmed. May BEAM continue to shine, lighting the path forward for those who need it most for years to come. Bring it in closer a little bit right here. Mr. Speaker, today I rise with a heavy heart, but a grateful spirit to honor the life of my friend, Commissioner Carol Eugene Franklin, who passed away peacefully in Hilliard, Florida, at the young age of 76. Born in Boonville, Mississippi, Carol lived a life shaped by hard work, deep faith, and a quiet but profound dedication to others. He was a proud combat veteran who served in the U.S. Army's 9th Infantry Division during the Vietnam War. That same courage and resolve stayed with him throughout his life, whether it was in service to his country, in business, or in leadership with the Nassau County Ocean Highway and Port Authority. Carol was a man who showed up, not just when it was easy, but when it was needed. He believed in faith, integrity, and perseverance. He loved his family dearly, and for 42 years he stood side by side with his beloved wife Judy, raising their sons Garrett and Greg, and cherishing their granddaughter Diana Dell. To his church and to his church family at First Baptist of Boulogne, his brothers and sisters, and his many friends, nieces, nephews, and neighbors who knew him, Carol was the kind of man whose legacy is etched not in headlines, but in the lives he lifted. Mr. Speaker, we say goodbye to a veteran, a man of character, a family man, and my friend. It hurts because that's the impact that Carol made on so many. May his memory continue to inspire us all and serve with heart, live with purpose, and love without hesitation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield back.
The gentleman yields back. The chair now recognizes the gentlewoman from Illinois, Ms. Ramirez, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honor the life and legacy of Karen Lewis, a tenacious organizer, a teacher, and a truth teller. Long before she became known to many as the president of the Chicago Teachers Union, or CTU, Karen dedicated 20 years to serving Chicago students as a chemistry teacher, including at Illinois' third own Lane Tech College Prep High School. As the president of CTU, Karen built an intersectional solidarity movement rooted in love, injustice, and the radical belief that working class Black and brown children deserve fully funded public schools. In 2012, she courageously led her union in a successful and historic 7-day strike for a fair contract that captured the nation's attention and brought new life into Chicago's labor movement. Today, we invoke Karen, both her wisdom and her vision, to guide us as we stand opposed to all the forces of austerity, of division, of fear, and hate. May her memory continue to fuel our fight, and may she rest in peace and power. Thank you, Karen. Mr. Speaker, I rise to honor the life and the legacy of Marion Stamps, a Chicago civil rights icon and tenant organizer. Marion moved to Chicago in 1963 at a time when public housing residents were denied the full measure of dignity that they deserved. But Marion organized. She co-founded the Chicago Housing Tenants Organization, and she took on the Chicago Housing Authority, demanding respect, safety, and a seat at the table for tenants in Cabrini Green and beyond. Marion built people power from the ground up, participating first and only successful national rent strike against HUD, exposing the corruption and holding Chicago city leadership accountable. Today, we invoke Marion, both her blueprint and her audacity to challenge those in power, to guide us as we challenge an administration that would deprive us of affordable housing and deepen housing inequality. May Marion's courage and her spirit, which lives in her daughters Carla, Tracy, Guana, Justice, and Commissioner Tara Stamps, guide us, organize tenants, challenge systems, and never ask permission to make our voice heard. Thank you, Marion. And Mr. Speaker, I rise to honor the life and legacy of LGBTQ+ rights activist John Pennycuff, a proud gay man, a fearless organizer, and a tireless advocate for dignity and justice. John understood that queer liberation wasn't just about marriage or visibility. It was about housing. It was about healthcare and survival. And alongside his partner, Robert Castillo, John advocated to have gender identity added to the Chicago Human Rights Ordinance and Chicago Fair Housing Ordinance, increasing fair housing protections for LGBTQ+ people in Chicago. Today, his memory lives on in the John Pennycuff Apartments, an affordable housing community in Illinois' 3rd Congressional District that proudly honors the vision of inclusive, just neighborhoods. Today, in a moment where LGBTQ+ rights are under attack, we invoke John and his uncompromising vision of holistic justice. May his memory call us to act with compassion, with clarity, and without apology. Thank you, John. And Mr. Speaker, it is my honor to rise to honor the life and legacy of the one, the only, Reverend Dr. Calvin Morris, a civil rights giant, a scholar, a spiritual leader whose work helped shape the conscience of this nation. In 1967, at the request of Reverend Jesse Jackson, Dr. Morris became the national coordinator of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference's Operation Breadbasket, today known as Rainbow Push Coalition. He served through the assassinations of Dr. King and Fred Hampton, guiding the movement with courage, with conviction, and with faith. Dr. Morris also served for nearly 2 decades as the executive director of the faith-based social justice organization, Community Renewal Society, where I'm grateful that our paths got to cross. Today, in a moment when the civil rights gained, thanks to our elders, are under attack, we invoke Dr. Morris and his moral clarity, his prophetic witness, his fire for justice, and his habit for breaking out into song. May his memory inspire the moral courage we need in a time such as this to walk boldly in his footsteps. Dr. Morris, may you rest in power, and may we continue to be inspired by who you are and continue to be for so many of us. Thank you, Dr. Morris. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
Thank you. The chair recognizes the gentleman from California, Mr. McClintock, for 5 minutes.
Madam Speaker, the Democrats are outraged that the largest illegal mass migration in history that they unleashed on our country must now be followed by the largest repatriation in history. Now, they insist that they don't object to removing violent criminals, but that's a demonstrable lie. The whole point of the Democrat sanctuary laws is to protect criminal illegal aliens from being turned over to ICE for deportation. Instead, they release them back into our communities, where many have gone on to commit even more heinous crimes. Recently, when federal officers served a criminal warrant on a Southern California marijuana farm, activists staged a riot. Officers liberated 12 minors forced to work at this facility. 8 of them were among the 465,000 unaccompanied alien children that the Democrats placed with poorly or unvetted sponsors during Biden's administration. It appears the marijuana farm was employing scores of illegal aliens to undercut their competition in flagrant violation of U.S. labor and immigration laws. Now, let's start with some simple truths. If we don't force our immigration laws, we have no immigration laws. If we have no immigration laws, we have no border. And if we have no border, we have no country. And we've gotten a glimpse of what that means as foreign flags are waved by violent mobs, setting fires, ransacking businesses, and terrorizing motorists in our sanctuary cities. So what do our immigration laws actually say? They say clearly and unambiguously that any and every adult who illegally enters our country shall be detained. Those are the exact words of the law, shall be detained. The Democrats simply ignore it. Now, they've got a right to challenge their detention through a writ of habeas corpus. If they're charged with a crime, they have a right to a trial by jury. But at no time do they have the right to be released back into our communities. Under the law, they, quote, shall be detained. Unless they're charged with a crime, they've got the right to leave detention anytime they want for any country that will admit them. What they don't have is the right to remain in our country unless a judge determines otherwise. That's why the administration is expanding detention facilities, because that's what the law requires if our borders are going to mean anything. The Democrats call these concentration camps, but the detainees are free to leave for home any time they choose. Indeed, that's the purpose, to provide temporary shelter while transportation is being arranged. Deportation is not a punishment, and it requires no criminal charges. It is a simple administrative act. Challenging it does not invoke a right to freely enter and stay indefinitely. You either wait here in detention or in another country that will accept you. Those are your options. Reportedly, more than 1 million illegal aliens have already decided to return home, an option for which our government will arrange transportation, a $1,000 stipend to help them resettle, and a right to apply for legal entry. If they wait until they're encountered by ICE, they'll be taken into custody, deported, and forbidden from re-entering. Now that is a choice. But what about those who, after breaking our immigration laws to enter the country and breaking our labor laws to work here, have broken no other laws? Well, that doesn't mean there aren't victims. For years, American families have struggled as the flood of illegal labor has taken their jobs and suppressed their wages. During Biden's 4 years, most new jobs were taken by foreigners, and Americans' real wages declined. Just 6 months into the Trump administration, most new jobs are now taken by Americans, and real wages are growing once again. That's not a coincidence. Supporting this impoverished illegal population cost American taxpayers an estimated $160 billion a year. It flooded classrooms with non-English speaking students, packed emergency rooms with illegals demanding care, and overwhelmed homeless shelters and food banks meant to help Americans. Worst of all, the most violent and dangerous criminal gangs in the world accompanied this population into our country and have now taken deep root in the Democrats' sanctuary cities. That's why we must enforce our immigration laws to the letter, as this administration is doing. America admits more legal immigrants under our laws than any nation on the planet, and will continue to do so. But that does not give license to millions of foreign nationals to violate those same laws. That's a simple truth the Democrats refuse to acknowledge. I yield back.
Thank you. The chair recognizes the gentlewoman from North Carolina, Ms. Adams, for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today with a heavy heart to honor a giant in our state's history, a giant in our profession, and a giant in the fight for civil rights, the late James Ferguson II, who passed away on Monday, July 21st at age 82. Mr. Ferguson was not just a brilliant legal mind. He was a trailblazer, a truth teller, a teacher, and a proud HBCU graduate who believed deeply in the power of the law to right all wrongs. And he spent his life doing just that, from lunch counter protests in segregated Asheville to courtroom battles that reshaped this nation. He co-founded North Carolina's first interracial law firm. He stood before the Supreme Court in Swan versus the Charlotte Mecklenburg, and he won, changing how schools across America desegregated. He defended the Wilmington 10. He fought for Darrell Hunt. He trained black lawyers during apartheid. And he did it all with quiet grace and a velvet voice and an iron resolve. Mr. Ferguson understood something that I often say about HBCUs, that they were not built for comfort, that they were built for purpose, and so was he. Educated at North Carolina Central University and Columbia Law School, he returned home not to make headlines, Mr. Speaker, but to make a difference. And in my journey, I admired him long before I ever met him. But when I ran for Congress, he became a trusted friend, a supporter, and an advisor. Mr. Ferguson didn't just practice law, he lived it. He believed that justice must be pursued even when it's unpopular and even when the odds are long. And that is the legacy of James Ferguson, not just the legal victories, but the courage to take on cases that no one else would. The integrity to mentor the next generation, the conviction that justice was not just a profession, but for him it was a calling. He was a leader in the courtroom. He was a leader in the classroom, and he was a leader in our community. He was a model for what public service looks like at its best. And Mr. Speaker, as a former educator myself, I know a good teacher when I see one. Fergie taught us all. And so today I honor his life, I honor his work, and I offer my deepest condolences to his family, to his children, to his grandchildren, to his great-grandchildren. and his many friends across Charlotte and across this country. And let us remember him not only in words, but in action, by picking up the work that he left behind, but by fighting the fights that he could not finish, and by standing tall in the truth that he lived. May he rest in power. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
Thank you. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Tennessee, Mr. Kustoff, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise today to honor a good friend, James Moore Sr., who passed away on May 15th of this year. He lived his life in Shelby County, Tennessee, and by the way, for the purposes of these remarks, everybody at home just knew him as Jimmy. Jimmy loved his family, golf, public service, and the car leasing business, probably in that order. The longtime owner of Jimmy Moore Leasing, Jimmy never met a customer nor a person that he could probably not connect to in some way, shape, or form. Probably the same way he connected to people on the golf course. Jimmy really shined as a public servant. In public service, Jimmy was elected numerous times as a respected member of the Memphis City Council, and then a number of times as the circuit court clerk of Shelby County. Jimmy was a true public servant in every sense of the word. Jimmy was the type of guy that when you were frustrated that City Hall wasn't doing enough about the trash being collected, you called Jimmy and he got the trash picked up, usually the same day. Jimmy was the type of guy that when the traffic lights weren't working, you called him and he would get it taken care of right away the same day. It may have not been his department or his agency, but Jimmy was the guy that you called when you needed your driver's license or marriage license or business license expedited, and he would get to the right people who would get back to you and get it taken care of, usually the same day. As the circuit court clerk, he managed the case filings, the employees, the litigants, and the judges, and kept all the trains on the track. Here are two important things about Jimmy. He truly loved people, and he truly loved helping people. I talked to my friend Steve Sampson, who was the juvenile court clerk of Shelby County, and also Joy Tuliadis, who followed Steve as the juvenile court clerk of Shelby County. This is what Joy told me about Jimmy and her relationship with him. Joy Tuliadis told me, if Jimmy was your friend, he was your friend for life. If Jimmy walked into the room, people knew that he had your back. Jimmy dedicated his life to making sure that he left Shelby County a better place to live and to raise a family. Jimmy will be remembered not only for his leadership to our community, but also as a devoted husband, a loving father and grandfather, and a loyal friend. To Jimmy's beloved wife, Barbara, and his beloved children, Linda and Jimmy Jr., and Wendy and Tim, Roberta and I mourn with you, but we also have so many fond memories of your husband and your father. Jimmy's loss is a true loss to our community. There is no doubt that Jimmy Moore is greatly missed. And with that, Madam Speaker, I'll yield back.
Thank you. The chair recognizes the gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. Davis, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to honor the service of Richard Doc Borsicki, a Vietnam War veteran and constituent of North Carolina's 1st Congressional District. A native of Rocky Mount, North Carolina, Doc has dedicated his life to selfless sacrifice. After enlisting in the Marine Corps as a hospital corpsman, 3rd class, Doc flew into the heart of danger to execute medevac helicopter support missions, flown by an exceptionally skilled and resilient crew consisting of a pilot, co-pilot, crew chief, 2 gunners, and a skilled combat-trained Navy corpsman. Medevac helicopter support personnel volunteered to fly these missions anywhere, anytime, 7 days a week. In August of 1969, Doc, a 19-year-old, deployed to Da Nang. Almost instantly, Marines stationed there came under heavy artillery and rocket fire. But Doc stood tall, going on to fly 250 combat support missions over 12 months outside the wire. Amidst the fog of war, Doc and his fellow Marines sought refuge where they could. At the Sacred Heart Orphanage in Da Nang, Doc spent time with forgotten children, many of whom had fathers that had served alongside him. Doc captured one such kid on camera. His name was Kirk Killerhals. After being adopted by a U.S. Army veteran, Kirk came to America. In 2017, when he learned of his past, he met the man who had volunteered at his orphanage to escape the tragedy of war. Through it all, Doc touched the lives of not only these children, but of countless service members wounded in battle who never knew his name. His story shines a light on the forgotten heroes of one of the most consequential conflicts in world history. And it reminds us that all those who have served are deserving of our everlasting gratitude. When they returned home, Vietnam veterans did not receive a hero's welcome as their parents and grandparents had following the world wars. Instead, their service went unnoticed, unappreciated, unknown. By taking the time to honor their patriotism and sacrifice, especially of those whose responsibility it was to save the lives of service members wounded in battle, we're taking one step towards righting that wrong. In the end, it was former Marine Corps Commandant General Chapman who best summarized what helicopter support meant to Marines on the ground in Vietnam, proclaiming, when a Marine in Vietnam is wounded, surrounded, hungry, low on ammunition or water, he looks to the sky and he knows the choppers are coming. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I yield back.
Thank you. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Missouri, Mr. Alford, for 5 minutes.
Well, Madam Speaker, I rise today to recognize our July Veteran of the Month, Edward Eugene Holmes. He was a proud Missourian and a resident of the Missouri Veterans Home, and I got a chance to meet him this past winter. He just left this earth last month at the age of 99, and we want to take the time to honor his life and legacy today. Edward was born on April 7th of 1926. He joined the U.S. Navy in June of 1944, and just weeks after graduating from high school. He served as a gunner's mate in the Pacific during World War II, and was later assigned to the USS Alt, part of the Seahorse Squadron, in preparation for the invasion of Japan. After the war ended, Edward remained on duty during the occupation until January of 1946, and during his service he traveled the world, from Australia to Africa to Japan and back home through the Panama Canal. He was honorably discharged with the rank of Seaman First Class. After the Navy, Edward built a long and successful career in the floral industry and was known for his love of fishing, golfing, hunting, and making breakfasts for his grandchildren. He was a proud father of 3 sons, grandfather to 6, and great-grandfather to 13. Madam Speaker, Edward Holmes served his country faithfully with honor, humility, and all his heart, and it's my privilege to recognize him posthumously as our July Veteran of the Month. Well, Madam Speaker, today we honor a true American patriot, Master Sergeant Roger William Swank, as our August Veteran of the Month. He was born in Wichita, Kansas, and reared in Fort Scott. He answered the call to serve in 1967, spent over 36 years in uniform, including time in Vietnam with the 199th Light Infantry Brigade. Roger earned the Purple Heart, the Combat Infantry Badge, and numerous other awards. He continued his service in the Missouri Army National Guard for more than 3 decades and retired in 2004. Off the battlefield, he was just as committed, serving as a mail carrier, a community leader, and a devoted family man. He was married to his wife, or he has been married to his wife, Linda, for 35 years, and together they have reared 7 daughters. Even in retirement, Roger remains a pillar of his community by volunteering with the Red Cross, serving his church for more than 40 years, and acting as assistant chaplain for the Disabled American Veterans Organization. Thank you, Roger. Thank you so much for your lifelong service to our country and our communities. You are an inspiration to us all. Madam Speaker, today we're proud to honor Ann's Acres, a generational family in Lincoln, Missouri, in the 4th District, as our July Small Business of the Month. Since 1999, Robert and Leslie Exendine, along with their 3 daughters and 6 grandkids, have cultivated 5 acres with nearly 7,000 blooming blueberry plants. Say that 10 times fast. This vibrant farm, named for the sacred middle name of Leslie and their daughter Katie, is a cornerstone of our district during its peak 3-week season from Father's Day to the 4th of July. Ann's Acres welcomes over 200 visitors, including local school kids. The gift shop delights a lot of people with the aroma and freshly baked blueberry muffins and refreshing slushies. I'm hungry now. Robert, a retired Air Force mechanic from Whiteman Air Force Base, and his family are now expanding, adding 8,000 strawberry plants for next spring. Congratulations to the Exendine family, including Katie and her sons, for their dedication. And let's all go visit them in Lincoln, Missouri. Madam Speaker, today I rise to honor Dan and Jerry's Greenhouse, a small business gem in Harrisonville, Missouri, in the 4th District, our August Small Business of the Month. For years, Dan and Jerry's been a cornerstone of our community. Their Farm Fresh Selects trial garden tests hundreds of plant varieties each year, making sure only the best make it to our gardens. Beyond their exceptional products, they foster community spirit through events like the annual Arts and Crafts Fair, Fall Festival, and Plant a Flower for Mom on Mom's Day. These gatherings create lasting memories and strengthen our small-town bonds, and we are honored to be able to visit this phenomenal spot this August during an in-district work period. Thank you for your dedication to excellence and community, and let's get to Harrisonville and visit them as well. Thank you, Ann's Acres, for being our August Small Business of the Month. Madam Speaker, I yield back.
Thank you. The chair recognizes the gentlewoman from Texas, Ms. Johnson, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise today full of gratitude and pride for the incredible people of North Texas, my neighbors and my constituents, who have stepped up in extraordinary ways to help their fellow Texans through one of the most devastating disasters our state has faced in years. We all know that when tragedy strikes in Texas, we don't wait around for permission to do the right thing. We just show up. We roll up our sleeves, we help our neighbors pick up the pieces, and that has been on full display in the weeks after the floods. I want to take a moment to recognize just a few of the many heroes from Texas' 32nd Congressional District who have gone above and beyond to provide hope and help when it was needed the most. Sabrina Pinales, Ryan Linneman, Savion Lee, David Hartage, and Lauren Sturdy, 5 of my remarkable constituents, didn't think twice before answering the call. They joined their church mission team and headed straight to the hill country where floodwaters had washed away homes overnight. These 5 North Texans have been on the ground every day, helping families, clearing debris, delivering supplies, and rebuilding what was lost. They remind us that faith in action, helping neighbor to neighbor, is what holds this state together when times are hard. I also want to lift up the brave men and women of the Plano Fire Department and first responders from Dallas. When floodwaters rose and families needed rescue, these heroes did what they always do. They run towards the danger. They deployed to Central Texas to help rescue stranded families, clear the roads, make sure entire communities could get back on their feet safely. They represent the very best of our communities: courage, commitment, and compassion. And it's not just these few. Across North Texas, neighbors have opened their doors to displaced families. Churches, synagogues, and mosques have collected food, clothing, and essentials. Local businesses have donated truckloads of supplies. Nonprofits like the North Texas Food Bank have mobilized to get fresh meal and water to families who've lost everything in just seconds. Countless volunteers have driven hours to help strangers through this terrible disaster. These are who Texans are. We are defined by our resilience, by our people, by our willingness to stand shoulder to shoulder and say, "We got you." You know, our state has faced immense tragedy with hundreds of victims, many of whom were children, little girls, excited to go to summer camp to make new friends and create memories that would last for a lifetime. Our entire nation mourns those that we have lost, and holding close to families who are doing everything they can just to make it through each day, hour by hour. And those families, those victims, they deserve answers. We must hold state and federal officials accountable. We have a new chairman of the Homeland Security Committee, Mr. Garabino from New York. It is my hope that he will respond to our calls to convene the Homeland Security Committee for an oversight hearing of these floods, to examine what went wrong and how our government can do better in the future. Texans deserve a government that matches their generosity. We deserve a government that plans ahead, responds quickly, and never lets politics get in the way of protecting our communities. So today I want to say thank you to Sabrina, Ryan, Savion, David, Lauren, and thank you to the Plano Fire Department and our first responders from Dallas. Thank you to every volunteer, every neighbor, every house of worship, every first responder who has made a difference during this crisis. Mr. Rogers once said, "When bad things would happen to all, look for helpers. You will always find people who are helping." We have a lot of helpers in North Texas and across our state who have gone above and beyond to help with their neighbors, and we are damn proud of them. Thank you, and I yield back.
Thank you. The chair recognizes the gentlewoman from Texas, Ms. De La Cruz, for 5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Today, I rise to celebrate Mr. Henry Joseph Kolinek Jr.'s 100th birthday on July 28th. Born in 1925 in Green, Texas, Mr. Kolinek graduated from Kennedy High School before attending Texas A&M. After arriving to A&M, he was drafted into the Army Air Corps and served as a staff sergeant during World War II. He flew 35 combat missions as a tail gunner and courageously protected his fellow soldiers. After his service, Mr. Kolinek returned to Texas A&M and earned a degree in agricultural economics. He worked 15 years at Union Carbide before returning to his hometown to join First Nichols Bank, National Bank. His dedication to the bank for over 37 years carried him from vice president to president, and finally to chairman of the board. He retired at the young age of 80. Today, Mr. Kolinek remains active in his community and church, serving as a Rotarian member of a member of the City Council, member of the Chamber of Commerce, and sits on the Karnes County Airport Board as well. On his leisure time, he is often found driving the tractor on his ranch. He is a very proud father, grandfather, and a great-grandfather as well. Happy 100th birthday, Mr. Kolinek. Thank you for your service to our great nation and to your beautiful community. May God bless you and your family. Happy birthday. I yield back.
Thank you. The chair recognizes the gentleman from New York, Mr. Kennedy, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise today to honor the life of John Spears, the director of the Buffalo and Erie County Public Library System. Although John only became director of the Buffalo and Erie County Library in April 2022, his brief tenure, backed by 25 years of experience, left an indelible mark on Western New York. John was an inspiring leader who worked tirelessly to expand access and make libraries in Western New York more inclusive, from eliminating fines for overdue books to redesigning the Central Library to be safer and more welcoming for everyone. John was a champion for diversity, equity, and inclusion. He was honored by the New York Library Association for innovative leadership in fostering relationships across every community. In 2022, I had the privilege of working alongside John on a project to digitize the William A. Miles collection at the Merriweather Library, the largest resource center in Western New York for information on African American history. From the moment the effort began, John was all in. This was just one of the countless examples of John's commitment to making our public institutions more just, representative, and responsive to the people that we serve. He saw libraries as a way of connecting people to their potential, a place where anyone, regardless of their background, could go, sit down, and learn. On July 20th, after a courageous battle with cancer, John passed away. But his legacy lives on. It created a stronger, more inclusive library system he helped to build, and his legacy will last forever. John is survived by his partner, Brian Dimmitt, his father, Robert, his brother, Evans, and his sister, Catherine. He leaves behind countless friends and colleagues across Western New York and beyond. John, we thank you for your service, compassion, and unwavering belief in the power of community. You will be deeply missed. May John Spears rest in peace. Madam Speaker, I rise today in celebration of an incredible milestone, the 80th anniversary of the Jewish Community Center of Greater Buffalo. Since its founding in 1945, the JCC has stood as a pillar of strength, compassion, and community in Western New York. For 8 decades, it has served as a cornerstone of our region, one that reflects the diversity, resilience, and generosity of Western New York. With 2 vibrant campuses, one in Amherst and one in the heart of Buffalo, the JCC opened its doors to over 1,000 individuals each and every day. Whether it's early childhood education, enriching after-school programs, fitness classes, summer day camps, or arts and cultural events, and much more, the JCC is a space for everyone at every stage of life. And at its core, it is a place that brings people together. It's where families grow, friendships form, traditions are celebrated, and where community is built. The JCC's mission is rooted in inclusion. Regardless of background, faith, or ability, everyone is welcome. The 80th anniversary of the JCC is more than a celebration. It's about the legacy that continues to shape the present and inspire the future. To the leadership, staff, volunteers, and generations of families who have walked through the JCC's doors, thank you. Thank you for creating a home where values endure, where culture thrives, and where people belong. On behalf of a grateful Western New York, congratulations on a remarkable 80 years, and here's to many, many more. I yield back.
Thank you. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Kansas, Mr. Mann, for 5 minutes.
Madam Speaker, America's borders are the safest they've been in decades. Simply put, President Trump is the border security president, and no narrative from the national media or left-wing talking heads can change that. Border security was the #1 issue on the campaign trail and is one of the main reasons that 77 million Americans elected him as president. Promises made, promises kept. It's hard to believe that in just 6 short months, President Trump has reversed 4 years of disastrous open border failures from the previous administration. For 4 years, President Biden and Vice President Harris told the country over and over again that they simply did not have the authority or the ability to secure the border. The reality is that this could not have been farther from the truth. President Trump has shown that the only thing we needed all along was a president who was not afraid to actually enforce the law. The facts speak for themselves. During the month of June, U.S. Customs and Border Patrol Protection saw the lowest number of encounters ever on our borders nationwide. Apprehensions along the border reached a new historic low on June 28th, when CBP had the lowest number of apprehensions in a single day in agency history. Under the previous administration, 27,766 illegal migrants were paroled and released into the country in June alone. Mr. Speaker, 1 year later, 0 migrants were paroled into the country. Again, promises made, promises kept. This leadership is exactly what Americans voted for this past November, and House Republicans are united in equipping the president to continue securing our borders for good. In our One Big Beautiful bill, we gave our law enforcement agencies the tools and resources they need to help secure the border. We allocated more than $46 billion to finish President Trump's border wall and ensure that our borders have a physical barrier to keep bad actors out. We invested in the CBP workforce, equipping the agency to hire more personnel to keep our borders secure and enforce the law. House Republicans invested in state-of-the-art border technology to stop the trafficking of drugs and humans across our border and finally bring the fentanyl crisis to an end. This deadly drug has taken the lives of thousands of innocent Americans and made every state a border state. No more. America remains a land of opportunity that attracts millions of individuals around the world each year. A few months ago, I had the privilege of speaking at a naturalization ceremony for brand new American citizens who took their oath to the United States and officially became fellow citizens. I was inspired by each of their journeys in becoming Americans and couldn't help but feel blessed to have been born in a land that so many people seek to call their home. At the time, my heart felt for them. Of the 168 people who became Americans that day, some of them underwent multi-years long process to come here legally. And instead of rewarding their efforts, they watched for 4 years as a president and an administration that were asleep at the wheel allowed our immigration laws to be abused and taken advantage of month after months as millions jumped the line by coming here illegally. I'm so glad that America overwhelmingly rejected that nonsense. Today, our country is more secure and safe than it has been in nearly half a decade. It turns out that common sense works after all, and I'm grateful for an administration that chooses common sense over caving to radical far-left activists. Thank you, President Trump, for upholding your commitment to making America safe again and securing our border. Promises made, promises kept. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I yield back.
Thank you. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Illinois, Mr. Garcia, for 5 minutes.
Madam Speaker, I rise today to honor my constituent and dear friend, Guillermina Heredia, known lovingly as Mina, who passed away on July 2nd. A proud Mexican-American, Mina's family moved to Chicago from Texas in search of better opportunities. As a student at Northeastern Illinois University, she joined the Organization of Latin American Students, where she met her husband, Carlos. She later served as president of the organization, inspiring a new generation of Latino students in Chicago. After graduation, Mina became a social worker, uplifting countless lives with her warmth and strength. She had a unique ability to make people, especially Latinos and Latinas, feel seen and cared for. She had a gift for bringing people together, and her karaoke nights with Carlos, her husband, were legendary. Mina was deeply loved and will be remembered for her service and spirit. My thoughts are with her sons and grandchildren, friends, and all those who were fortunate to know her. We will miss her, Mina, and we will carry forward the compassion and strength that you showed all of us. Madam Speaker, I rise today to honor a giant in our community, Carlos Arango, as he approaches his 79th birthday. For over 2 decades, Carlos has been a pillar of Chicago's immigrant rights movement, organizing marches, building institutions, and mentoring generations of activists, often behind the scenes, always with purpose. He stood on the front lines when it wasn't popular, and he stayed when others moved on. He was instrumental in the strength behind Casaslan, not just a building, but a beacon of self-determination, cultural pride, and community defense. And through it, he helped countless immigrants find power, purpose, and a place to belong. Throughout every political storm, Carlos has remained unapologetically proud of his roots, his people, and yes, of Los Pumas at the University of Mexico, whose jersey he wears like armor. He is more than an organizer. He is a keeper of memory, a fighter for justice, a dear friend. Carlos, thank you for never backing down and for showing us what commitment is all about. Happy birthday, and may your struggle live on. Madam Speaker, I rise today to honor my constituent, Brigadier General Jorge Fonseca, a decorated veteran and proud son of Little Village, on his recent promotion as Director of the Joint Staff of the Illinois National Guard. Born in Guadalajara, Mexico, Jorge came to Chicago with his family and has dedicated over 30 years to public service, beginning as an enlisted combat medic, which later commissioned as a Medic Service Corps officer. He served multiple tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. His path was not easy, but his tenacity carried him through the toughest moments of his career. Today, his success inspires a new generation of Latinos and Latinas to serve. His journey is a reminder that patriotism isn't defined by birthplace, but by service, sacrifice, and a love of country. General Fonseca, I salute you. You've made your family, your city, and your country proud. Madam Speaker, I rise today to recognize Sergeant Efrain Mata, a proud son of 18th Street in Chicago, who will be retiring from the Cook County Sheriff's Department after nearly 30 years of distinguished and transformative service. Sergeant Mata is not only respected for his honor, loyalty, and sharp instincts, but also for his vision. He helped pioneer behavioral health and emergency response strategies now being implemented across Cook County, providing compassion and safety that they can go hand in hand. From Chicago to broader assignments across federal agencies, Sergeant Mata has served with honor, courage, and an unwavering commitment to justice. But what sets him apart is that he never lost sight of where he came from. He's always made it a point to give back, supporting families and standing up for his neighbors. He's a father, a supportive husband, a mentor, and the kind of person you always want on your team. Sergeant Mata, we thank you for your service. We wish you Godspeed. I yield back.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr. Thompson, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to invite my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to join the bipartisan Congressional Scouting Caucus. Scouting has been an essential part of my life. I'm an Eagle Scout and was Scoutmaster for more than 30 years. The lessons I learned through scouting, leadership, service, self-reliance, and integrity remain deeply embedded in my daily life and guide my work here in Congress. My decisions are guided by the principles of the Scout Oath, my duty to God, duty to country, duty to others, and to myself. That's the kind of clarity and and compass that scouting instills. It's a moral benchmark, one that teaches young people to serve their communities, respect others, and become engaged, responsible citizens. That's why I'm proud of the work that we're doing with the Bipartisan Congressional Scouting Caucus. This group exists to strengthen and support scouting programs across the country and to highlight the incredible impact scouts have in each of our districts. Mr. Speaker, I invite my colleagues to join our caucus, whether you're a scout yourself, have scouts in your family, or simply believe in the power of mentorship and youth leadership. And there's no better time to get involved than now. Today we're hosting Camp Capitol Hill, an event that will bring the spirit of scouting right to the heart of our nation's capital. This unique showcase will feature scouts demonstrating outdoor and leadership skills right here on the Capitol grounds and the Rayburn Foyer. Displays will include camping equipment, a canoe, a rocket, robotics, knot tying, and a Pinewood Derby car racing, alongside educational tables sharing the story and scope of modern scouting. There will also be a dynamic panel discussion moderated by scouting leaders and alumni highlighting the diverse ways this program shapes the next generation of leaders, young men and women who will one day serve as firefighters, teachers, doctors, small business owners, and yes, even members of Congress. We're also hosting Eagles on the Hill, a reception that will bring together Eagle Scouts and scouting alumni to celebrate our shared background in scouting. Eagles on the Hill serve as a reminder that even when Eagle Scouts in Washington disagree on the issues before us, we are united in the belief that scouting instills essential leadership skills and character values. The Scouting Memorial, just steps from where we sit today, is a tribute not only to the organization but to the ideals it stands for: duty, service, community, and character. That memorial was made possible entirely through Scout-raised funds in 1960, mostly in the form of dimes. Those scouts who sent in their dimes have their names engraved at the base of that statue, reminding us of the quiet strength and legacy of civic engagement. Mr. Speaker, I once again encourage all my colleagues to join the Congressional Scouting Caucus, attend Camp Capitol Hill, and support the young people who work every day to build a stronger, more service-minded America. Let's help ensure that the next generation lives up to the Scout law: trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. Today, also, on a personal note, want to welcome Josh and Flynn Kirby to Washington, the Scout leader and a Scout from my home Boy Scout Council in the Juniata Valley Council. Welcome here to Washington. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Rhode Island, Mr. Magaziner, for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I rise for the 34th time to call on the Trump administration to restore food aid for children around the world suffering from malnutrition. We've been doing this for months. We've been doing this for months because after decades of United States leadership in providing aid to children around the world suffering from malnutrition, the Trump administration has stopped funding this life-saving program. In my district, in North Kingstown, Rhode Island, there is a warehouse with 90,000 boxes of Plumpy Nut, life-saving food aid that is designed to save the lives of starving children whose organs are shutting down and can no longer process conventional food. This food aid has already been manufactured, has already been paid for, but is sitting in a warehouse in Rhode Island because some bureaucrat in the Trump administration refuses to sign the piece of paper to restart the shipments. Why? What possible good can come from allowing children to starve needlessly around the world while American factories and American farmers do not get paid? The crazy thing is that for months, the administration has been insisting that they are going to restart this program. Secretary Rubio, under oath in the House Foreign Affairs Committee, said that this program was going to be restarted. Elon Musk, when he was still in the administration, before he had his big breakup with Donald Trump, even tweeted the name of my factory in my district and said that they were going to get their funding. Time and time again, when we inquire with the administration, they say, yes, any day now we're going to restart it. It's been 6 months. Every day that they delay is another day that children unnecessarily starve to death. We need the administration to honor its word. We're not asking them to change their policy. We are asking them to execute on their stated policy. I'm going to continue to speak out on this floor every day until they honor their commitment to restart funding for emergency food aid around the world. Mr. Speaker, when I was back in my district in Rhode Island, I took the opportunity to catch up with a number of leaders in the restaurant and hospitality industry around my state. And they told me to a person that business is down this summer compared to last summer. Why? Well, a few reasons. Number one, the tariffs that Donald Trump has put in place are a tax on small businesses and on the middle class. Why are we putting a 10 or 15 or 20% tariff on food that we can't even grow in the United States? 99% of the coffee that we drink comes from other countries because we can't grow it here. Pineapples, bananas, food that we do not make in the United States, we are taxing ourselves 10 or 15 or 20% to import that food. That hurts restaurants and other small businesses in my district and the entire country. It hurts consumers as well. On top of that, this is summer tourism season in Rhode Island, and we typically get a lot of tourists from Canada and from Europe who come to Rhode Island for our beaches, for our food, for our hospitality. Well, wouldn't you know it, international travel into Rhode Island and the entire Northeast is down because it turns out that when you threaten to invade other countries, when you enact tariffs on other countries with no clear strategy, when you badmouth our allies, they don't want to come visit here anymore. So we've got a hospitality industry in Rhode Island, hotels, restaurants, other small businesses that are facing crushing costs from tariffs, are facing less business from international travel, and oh, by the way, their domestic customers, their American customers, also have less discretionary income because of the increased cost of food, because for some reason we are also taxing imports of energy from Canada, so their electric and their heating bills were higher this year. Supporting small business used to be a bipartisan cause in Washington, D.C., one of the few things that both parties could join together and come together on. But for some reason, over the last 6 months, it seems that Washington, D.C. is intent on doing everything that it can to make it harder for small businesses in this country to operate. So let's reset. Let's reset. Let's prioritize tax relief for small businesses in the middle class instead of the rich. Let's eliminate these tariffs on products that we don't even produce in the United States because we don't have the climate for it. Let's help small businesses thrive and survive this summer. I yield back.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Cloud, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to celebrate a historic moment for Calallen High School. The Calallen Wildcats baseball team captured the UIL 4A District 1 state championship with a 5-3 win, ending a 17-year title drought and bringing home the program's 4th state title. Ranked number 1 in Texas and number 2 nationally, they lived out their motto, win on the last day. Not to be outdone, the Calallen Lady Cats softball team made history of their own, winning their 3rd consecutive UIL 4A District 1 state softball championship. This marks the first time in Coastal Bend history that both the baseball and softball titles were won by the same school in the same year. Congratulations to the Calallen Wildcats head coach Steve Chapman and the Lady Cats head coach Teresa Lentz. And to all the Calallen Wildcats and Lady Cats, what a great year for Calallen. Congratulations. Mr. Speaker, I rise to congratulate the London Pirates baseball team, the 2025 UIL 3A District 1 state championships. With a 4-3 win, the Pirates secured their second state title in program history, capping off a dominant postseason and a 14-game winning streak. This championship reflects the discipline and heart that define London athletics and the unwavering support of a proud community. Congrats to the Pirates on a remarkable season. Mr. Speaker, I rise as well to honor the Ganado Maidens, our 2025 UIL 2A state championships. With a 5-4 comeback win, the Maidens closed out their season fueled by grit with a 19-game win streak. The Maidens were down with 1 out to go when they delivered a 2-1 rally that turned the game into their favor. As one local paper put it, it took all of Ganado, and it certainly did. Congratulations to the Maidens, their coaches, their families, and the entire Ganado community on the championship that reflects the very best of Texas. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honor the city of Corpus Christi, officially designated as the first Coast Guard city in the state of Texas. For over 45 years, Coast Guard men and women have served our region with courage, conducting daring rescues, safeguarding our ports, training the next generation, and responding with excellence when disaster strikes. From patrolling our waters to securing energy shipments to their recent heroic efforts responding to the floods in Kerrville, their work keeps both our region and our nation safe. The Coast Guard in Corpus Christi conducted hundreds of search and rescue missions and has saved countless lives. To the Coast Guard crews up and down our district along the Gulf of America, thank you for your hard work, living out your commitment to faith, service, and freedom every single day. And thank you to my fellow citizens of Texas 27th District for living a life and honoring the service of these guardsmen. Congratulations, Corpus Christi. Thank you, Chairman, and I yield back.
Chair recognizes the gentlewoman from California, Ms. Simon, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I request unanimous consent to address the House for 5 minutes and to revise the next remarks.
The gentlewoman is recognized.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to address the House and oppose the defunding of Planned Parenthood clinics nationwide. The Republicans' cruel budget bill, which all Democrats opposed, included a provision to block federal Planned Parenthood clinics from receiving Medicaid funds. This was a devastating choice that Republicans have made and will undoubtedly impact families across the nation. Planned Parenthood does not just provide birth control. Clinics provide basic health care exams, cancer screenings, and vaccinations. Women across this country today will walk into Planned Parenthoods across counties and states to receive both diagnostic and care for cervical cancer, for hypertension, and for basic medical care. Earlier this year, the largest Planned Parenthood health center in the country opened in my district, named after my predecessor and champion of reproductive health and access, Congresswoman and now Mayor Barbara Lee. The Barbara Lee Oakland Health Center has over 19 exam rooms and is transit accessible. But the Republican budget bill will put Planned Parenthood centers like ours across the country at risk. 200 of the 600 Planned Parenthood clinics across the country may close, and women will die. Planned Parenthood closures will disproportionately impact Black and brown mothers who already have a maternal mortality rate more than 3 times as their white counterparts. These cuts will disproportionately impact poor folks' access to reproductive health care, since 40% of all births in this country are covered by the very Medicaid services that are now being gutted. These are matters, as I said before, of life and death for us in our district and for women across the country. I was a young mother living in public housing in San Francisco when I had my first daughter at 19, but I was able to get by. I was able to go to school and raise a wonderful daughter and put her through college and law school because I had access to care and institutions who cared about my life. If we want people to be healthy in this country and to participate in their communities and work, we need to open up choices and we need to provide more opportunity instead of less. That is why I offered an amendment to the Republican budget reconciliation bill that would have protected the vital services of Planned Parenthood. Republicans killed that amendment, but this will not stop our collective work, my work, to ensure that people in our district and around the country and in rural communities and in urban communities have the access that they so deserve. Their lives are depending on it. And just this week, the district courts put a temporary pause on parts of the Republican bill that would defund Planned Parenthood, and we will continue to fight back. Planned Parenthood is vital. It is vital to the community's health. And we cannot, and I will not stand by while it is defunded and while our health is devalued. I was that young mother. We and our families, our children, deserve better. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Virginia, Mr. Klein, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, today I rise to mark the anniversary of the legendary Freedom Train, a rolling symbol of American ideals that traveled more than 37,000 miles from 1947 to 1949, visiting all 48 states and welcoming over 3.5 million citizens abroad. For over 30 years, my constituents Mary Jane and John Z. Rowe have been at the forefront of efforts to preserve the memory of this great national event, which helped remind Americans of the foundations of their liberty. Powered by the groundbreaking Alco PA diesel locomotive, numbered 1776 and named the Spirit of 1776, the train revolutionized public perception of rail power. In an age still dominated by steam, the diesel proved its mettle across all terrain and climate, operating reliably without pause for coal or water. Its performance, witnessed by millions and scrutinized by railroad leaders nationwide, helped hasten the transition from steam to diesel across American railroads. But beyond technology, the Freedom Train carried our founding documents and civic ideals to the people, guarded by Marines, celebrated in towns, and kissed literally by thousands in cities like Brooklyn. It was not a government project, but a private patriotic mission supported by the Truman administration and the American Heritage Foundation. At a moment of global uncertainty, the Freedom Train reminded Americans of who we were and who we still are. Mr. Speaker, I yield back. No, I still have a few more. Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Sorry.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize the extraordinary accomplishments of the Roanoke Catholic School Lady Celtics girls track and field team, who captured the 2025 VISAA Division II Virginia State Championship with remarkable determination and unity. After narrowly missing the title by 3 points in 2023, the Lady Celtics redoubled their efforts, displaying unmatched teamwork in a sport often focused on individual performance. Guided by an outstanding group of seniors and supported by dedicated underclassmen, they secured the championship with a commanding margin of 55 points. I commend head coach Jason Smith and the entire 2025 team, Aubrey Aaron, Addison Becker, Anna Stadnick, Charlie Floyd, Carly Smith, Justine Lavore, Eva Concilioni, Lillian Kessler, Sydney Witt, Jamariah Edwards, Lauren Bradley, Brinkley Aaron, Molly O'Haron, Joey Barger, and Kuk Chen. Their perseverance, skill, and sportsmanship are an inspiration to our community, and I congratulate the Lady Celtics on this well-earned state title. Mr. Speaker, I rise today in strong support of the Stop Illegal Entry Act. In recent years, more than 10 million illegal immigrants have crossed into our country, including hundreds who are on the terrorist watch list. This is more than a border crisis, it is a serious national security threat. A failure to enforce our laws created a dangerous incentive. Cross illegally, break our laws, and you're likely to be released into our communities under past radical policies. And that had to change. Even more concerning, over 70% of those charged with illegal reentry last year had criminal records. These are not first-time offenders. These are repeat criminals who have shown complete disregard for our laws. The Stop Illegal Entry Act will increase penalties and prison time for illegal entry and reentry, sending a clear message that there will be consequences. President Trump ended catch and release, and with this legislation, House Republicans are continuing that commitment to restoring accountability and to protecting American families. It's time to bring back law and order by stopping these illegal crossings. I urge my colleagues to support this bill and stand for the safety of the American people. And Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
Chair recognizes the gentlewoman from Arizona, Ms. Ansari, for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask unanimous consent to address the House and revise and extend my remarks.
Gentlewoman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I want you to imagine for a moment that you're going to the grocery store, grabbing coffee, or picking your child up from school. But instead of running errands or waiting for the school bell like usual, you are surrounded by masked men who scream at you, shove you to the ground, threaten you with their weapons, and throw you into the back of their car. People are calling out for help, asking where you're being taken, but they refuse to answer. You have no idea where you're going, who these people are, or when or if you will ever see your family again. Imagine if you, or worse, your child, experienced the terror, the fear, and the blind pain of being kidnapped off of the street. For many of my constituents, this is the horrific reality that they are dealing with every single day. ICE is terrorizing our communities. They are kidnapping people off of the streets, tearing families apart, and destroying futures to meet insane daily quotas enacted by Donald Trump. Just a few weeks ago, Republicans in Congress passed a massive budget that is funneling billions of new dollars to ICE. This money makes ICE the largest domestic police force in the United States, with more resources than dozens of militaries around the entire world. This funding is unprecedented, and it's a free pass for ICE to ramp up Trump's cruel and inhumane mass deportation policies. They are already building concentration camps in Florida, where they are threatening to lock up legal immigrants and Latinos from across the country. I have visited facilities like this. On May 29th, I went to the Eloy Detention Center just outside my district. I met with women who wanted to and frankly were desperate to share their stories with me. One was a green card holder who had been pulled over for a traffic stop. When they learned of her status, they stripped her of her green card and threw her into ICE detention without another thought. She had been trying to reach her family for months. Another woman told me a story about a guard taking all of the women out into the blazing Arizona heat. He forced them to march in circles for hours without water. One woman fainted and needed medical attention. While they marched, the guard yelled at them, quote, "This is the price of the American dream." It should not matter who these women are. It should not matter whether they are citizens, legal residents, or undocumented people trying to make a life for themselves. It is shameful and embarrassing for our country that we would treat any human being like this. The detention centers and the facilities in this country are atrocious. They have absolutely zero oversight mechanisms in place. More than a month later, after formally inquiring about the conditions that I saw firsthand to the Department of Homeland Security and ICE, I have yet to receive a response. People are being harassed, they are being dehumanized, they are being abused. Last weekend, I tried to return to Eloy to meet with several constituents of mine who are detained there, like a woman named Yadi who has chronic lymphocytic leukemia. She has been detained at Eloy since February and has lost 55 pounds while in detention. She needs help. a man who has been coughing up blood for weeks, a 35-year-old woman with a kidney infection who says her antibiotics are not working and her conditions are worsening. Even after ICE put in place new protocols to make it more difficult for us to do our jobs and our oversight work, we tried to follow their new rules. I gave them ample notice of my visit and a list of constituents that I hope to meet with. They let us know that our visit was approved. But then, less than 24 hours before I was supposed to make the trip, they changed their minds and said that my meetings with my constituents were denied. ICE is leaving families without answers and human beings without care. And they are doing it regardless of whether people are undocumented, legal residents, or even American citizens. They are splitting up parents by sending them to different detention facilities and then making children have to navigate the funds for a lawyer and basic survival. If I cannot get answers as a U.S. Congresswoman, how is anyone else in my district supposed to? Any one of us could be next. To our immigrant communities, I will always stand with you and fight for you, and will do everything I can to push back against Trump's authoritarian overreach. I yield back.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from New York, Mr. Lawler, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to recognize Lance Corporal Ryan James Barnard of Valley Cottage, New York, who died on July 2nd while serving our country at Kanawha Bay, Hawaii. Ryan was just 22 years old. He served in the United States Marine Corps with the 3rd Littoral Combat Team, Aris Company. He was living his dream, wearing the uniform with pride and doing what he believed in. Ryan grew up in the Hudson Valley playing Little League Baseball and hockey, skating for Nyack High School, the Palisades Predators, and the Army West Point Junior Black Knights. He was known for his quiet focus, his toughness, and strong sense of duty. In the wake of his passing, his family and our community are working to establish a youth hockey grant in his name, carrying forward his spirit of discipline and teamwork for years to come. I'm grateful for Ryan's service to the United States, and I extend my deepest condolences to the Barnard family. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honor the life of Michael Halpin of Pearl River, New York, who passed away on July 9th at the age of 88. Born in Kilrush, County Clare, Ireland, Mike immigrated to New York in 1955 and proudly served in the United States Army, including a tour of duty in Korea. After his military service, he continued to serve as an NYPD officer in the 46th Precinct in the Bronx. Like myself, Mike was a proud Irish American, the very definition of a pillar of the community. He served as president of the Rockland County Irish American Cultural Center and the Rockland GAA, was a member of the AOH Division III, and led the 2004 Rockland St. Patrick's Day Parade as Grand Marshal. He was a devoted parishioner of St. Margaret's Church, a member of the Hudson Valley 1013 Club, and above all, a proud husband, father, and grandfather. Mike Halpin lived a life of dutiful purpose, leadership, and a deep love for both his heritage and his community. He will be missed. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize John Jackie Sullivan, a Navy veteran, FDNY EMS Deputy Chief, and longtime volunteer firefighter in Spring Valley and Yorktown Heights. Jack gave his entire adult life to serving others. He spent 12 years as a Navy flight engineer, 31 years as a paramedic, rising to Deputy Chief, and more than 3 decades answering fire calls as a volunteer. On 9/11, he ran towards the towers. When they fell, he dove under a truck to survive, and then stayed at Ground Zero for a year, helping recover the fallen with dignity and respect. That tells you everything you need to know about the kind of man he was. Jackie was also a union leader, a mentor to younger EMTs and firefighters, and a relentless storyteller who never missed a chance to make someone laugh. He was the kind of guy you wanted by your side in a crisis and around the dinner table once the storm had passed. To his wife Denise, his daughters Katie and Maggie, and all who loved him, our hearts are with you. May his memory always be a blessing. I yield back.
The chair recognizes the gentlewoman from New Mexico, Ms. Stansbury, for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, we are here today to say, hands off our Social Security, because Social Security is not a luxury, it is not a handout, it is a sacred trust, a promise that we make to Americans, that the hard-earned money that they pay into the system will be there when they need it. Our seniors, our children who have lost a parent, people in our communities who live with disabilities. It is the lifeline that sustains our communities, our seniors, and it is a promise that they can live their lives with dignity. So I am here today with my dear colleague, Congressman John Larson, to not only say hands off our Social Security, but also to introduce a bill with that name. This bill will protect Social Security from an administration that is trying to systemically dismantle it. It will protect your benefits. It will stop the privatization of your benefits. It will stop staffing cuts and closures and protect your privacy and your data and protect the proud men and women who go to work every day to serve our seniors and work for the Social Security Administration. Because, Mr. Speaker, these are the American people's benefits, and we are fighting to ensure that not only are they here today and tomorrow, but for future generations to come. And that is why I am so proud to be in this fight with my dear colleague, the man, the legend, and the congressman who has fought for Social Security for so many years, Ranking Member John Larson of Connecticut, and I yield to the gentleman.
I thank the gentlelady from New Mexico. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the gentlelady from New Mexico. Her work and her effort are exemplary because here's the data. Here are the facts, Mr. Speaker. Over 70 million of our fellow Americans rely on Social Security, and Social Security throughout its history has never missed a payment. And today it's even more crucial as 10,000 baby boomers a day become eligible for Social Security. And for more than 40% of all Social Security recipients, this is the only benefit that they have. Representative Stansbury is part of legislation that seeks to expand benefits, not just protect Social Security. Congress hasn't acted on Social Security and its expansion since 1971. Richard Nixon was President of the United States. But because of the initiative and the energy and the enthusiasm of members of Congress, like Representative Stansbury, people in New Mexico and all across the country. Mr. Speaker, it might surprise you even as well to know how many people are in your district as well and equally served. More than $300,000 comes in monthly to your recipients in the great state of Virginia and in your district. But that hasn't changed in over 54 years. So now is the time to act. Now is the time to get behind Representative Stansbury's legislation that will be incorporated in the Ways and Means configuration on Social Security that will benefit the people. As she's indicated, this is America's #1 anti-poverty program for the elderly, the #1 anti-poverty program for children, and more veterans rely on Social Security disability than they do the VA. I yield back to my colleague and thank her
for her efforts and her initiatives.
Thank you, Ranking Member. I am so proud and honored to be in the fight with you, and more importantly, to be in the fight for America and for our veterans, seniors, and children. So let's do this, America. Let's protect Social Security. I yield back.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Illinois, Mr. LaHood, for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I request to address the House for 5 minutes and to revise and extend my remarks.
Recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honor and congratulate Illinois' 4th District Appellate Court Justice James Jim Kinect as he reaches the milestone of serving 50 years as a judge. Jim was born in Lincoln, Illinois, and earned his Juris Doctorate from the University of Illinois College of Law in 1973. In 1975, Jim began his judicial career serving as an Associate Circuit Judge and was soon after promoted to Circuit Judge. In 1986, Judge Kinect was elected to the Illinois 4th District Appellate Court. He is currently the longest-serving judge in Illinois court history, an accredited leader within our Illinois legal community. Outside of the courtroom, Judge Kinect is heavily involved in communities across Illinois with his alma maters. He serves on both the Illinois Family Violence Coordinating Council and the National Advisory Board of Corporate Alliance to End Partner Violence. At his undergraduate alma mater, Illinois State University, Judge Kinect was an adjunct professor for nearly 3 decades and is a recipient of their Distinguished Alumni Award. Again, I want to congratulate Judge Kinect on this momentous achievement in his legal career and thank him for his continued service to the state of Illinois. I wish Judge Kinect and his wife Ruth and their children and grandchildren all the best in the future. Congratulations. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize Jim Collins for his extraordinary 20-year tenure as president of Loras College in Dubuque, Iowa. As the longest-serving president in the school's history, Jim has left a lasting impact on Iowa's oldest institution of higher education. President Collins earned his Bachelor of Science degree in finance from Loras College in 1984. After graduation, he began as an admissions representative and advanced through various leadership positions before being selected as president in 2004 at the age of 42. During President Collins' tenure at Loras College, the institution achieved unprecedented growth. He oversaw actions to raise the endowment by 67% to support students, expanded graduate and professional programs, spearheaded the completion of multiple campus renovations, and led the college to consistent recognition by U.S. News as a top 15 Midwest baccalaureate institution. President Collins' visionary leadership and unwavering commitment to Catholic higher education has impacted thousands of students who attended and graduated Loras College. I want to congratulate Jim and his lovely wife, Lisa, and their children and grandchildren on this remarkable career. I want to thank him for his decades of service to Loras College and wish him all the best in his well-deserved retirement. Congratulations, Jim. Go Dewhawks. I yield back.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Connecticut, Mr. Larson, for 5 minutes.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise this morning first and foremost to pay tribute to Louise Kronholm. When you're in Congress, oftentimes you're unable to be home for wakes and funeral services. And Louise Kronholm was the daughter of the legendary John Bailey. John Bailey was the chairman of the Democratic Party in Connecticut. He was the national chairman of the Democratic Party in 1960 when we elected the first Catholic President of the United States, John Fitzgerald Kennedy. The Bailey and Kennedy families were extraordinarily close. And Barbara Kennelly, Louise's sister, was the congresswoman from the 1st District in Connecticut who I succeeded. Our hearts, our thoughts, and prayers are with them today as they mourn and bury the beloved Louise Kronholm, John Bailey's daughter and Barbara Kennelly's sister. Mr. Speaker, I also rise today to recognize Pratt & Whitney Aircraft in my hometown of East Hartford, Connecticut. July 22nd, 1925, yesterday marked the 100th birthday and anniversary of Pratt & Whitney Aircraft, who builds the most dependable engines and has led the aerospace industry in this country and the greatest manufacturing force in the world, located in East Hartford and Middletown, Connecticut as well. My father and mother both there. My mother worked there. My mother during the Second World War. She had just got out of high school, was 17 years old, was in the National Honor Society and was recruited by Pratt & Whitney to help take down the details and information and categorizing of parts, etc., that was desperately needed. My father went off to war, and when he came home, worked there. My brothers have worked at Pratt & Whitney. In 1925, East Hartford was an agricultural community, and overnight became the leading manufacturer of airplanes and aircraft, and now aerospace. We salute Pratt & Whitney Aircraft. When my father would go to work, we said, "Dad, are you going to work?" He said, "Yeah." "What do you do?" He said, "We keep the eagle flying." The symbol of Pratt & Whitney Aircraft is the bald eagle in flight, and underneath it says, "We build the most dependable engines." That was true in 1925, and it's true today. I'm proud to be part of the F-35 caucus and to understand that not only is it important to America, but also important to our allies all across the globe who still depend on Pratt & Whitney and their production of the most dependable aircraft engines ever assembled. Mr. Speaker, I want to submit for the record also a resolution introduced by Governor Lamont of the state of Connecticut recognizing this 100th year anniversary celebration of Pratt & Whitney Aircraft. I also want to submit for the record an op-ed piece that was presented in the Hartford Courant by Pratt & Whitney President Shane Eddy, again talking about that great workforce over this past 100 years and their dedication then, now, and well into the future. The Eagle will keep flying because they have the most dependable workforce and build the most dependable engines ever assembled in the world. I'm proud to have been born and raised in East Hartford, the home and the start of Pratt & Whitney Aircraft, the engine company that makes the most dependable engines in the world. And with that, I yield back.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Indiana, Mr. Baird, for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to honor Chuck Connor, who officially retired on Monday, July the 14th, after serving as a national agriculture leader since 1997. A Benton County native and a graduate of Purdue University, Chuck Connor served as the president and CEO of the National Council of Farmer Cooperatives for over 16 years. From 1997 to 2001, he served as president of the Corn Refiners Association. He also has a storied career in public service as Deputy Secretary and the Acting Secretary of the U.S. Department of Agriculture under President George W. Bush. Chuck Connor continued his public service as an advisor to U.S. Senator Richard Lugar from Indiana for 17 years. We're grateful for his decades of service and work to benefit our great agricultural industry. I wish him all the best as he embarks on retirement. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honor Kent and Isabella Chisholm, outstanding Hoosiers. Kent is a fifth-generation family farmer in Indiana who focuses on growing corn and soybeans. His wife, Isabella, currently serves as the American Farm Bureau Federation's Women's Leadership Committee Chair and is the former second vice president of the Indiana Farm Bureau. The Chisholms are intentionally recognized and internationally recognized for their hard work and dedication to promoting America's great agricultural industry. Their family and the family farm has also been a home for workshops, farm visits, and open houses. The Chisholms recently received the 2025 Indiana Farm Master Farmers Award for their work advocating for agriculture. Indiana's agricultural industry is better off thanks to the Chisholms, who have used their experiences to be prominent voices for agriculture at the state, local, and national levels. I am grateful for their work that has certainly benefited Indiana and our farmers. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to discuss how the big, beautiful bill makes American energy dominant again by resuming leasing for dominant and domestic energy production. This includes onshore and offshore oil and gas leases, as well as coal leases. The One Big Beautiful Bill strengthens the grid reliably and invests in building key energy and critical minerals infrastructure through the Energy Dominance and Financing Program. This legislation also finally repeals the Green New Deal subsidies from the Democrats' so-called Inflation Reduction Act, such as the tax credit giveaway for expensive, unreliable electric vehicles. This historic bill also restores our energy security by starting to refill the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, which was drained under the previous administration. This big, beautiful bill is a historic win for America's great energy sector that will help reduce energy costs for hardworking families in my district and across the nation. And I thank you and yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Baird. Pursuant to Clause 12A of Rule 1, the Chair declares the House in recess until noon today.
That's what he's announcing.
The photo line is still quite long. He's in this corner back here.
There's anyone here?
The line of people that's more than are standing here.
So it's ceremonial.
Must be.
Speaker to tune in. Fix my hair. So they came across the first floor.
Okay.
That on a feed that like actually no one's watching because they're all watching Coburger, but like in theory. It's not even live. Yeah, that is going out to every single person who takes on the feed. Yes. My fiance is like, hey, these watching. Yes. Hi, Haley.
Have a couple of beers. Go see boys movies.
You say coming from this guy.
Yeah. That was a pretty tight list to be. This is the biggest.
If you side sound, I'm fine with side sound better. Side sound like this? Yeah. Just be right in the background. Right over side sound. That's doing all the pictures.
Every picture of Epstein and Johnson just has Hogan Gidley like, right there. He's fucking living as like you Google Jeffrey Epstein and the first picture that pops up is Mike Johnson and Hogan Gidley. And he's like, what the fuck?
So when he does them here, does he primarily talk to camera and then he'll look over to the...
He'll look over. Did you get any
No, whatsoever.
Got it.
I know nothing.
Okay.
Michael, you know?
I assume he'll go that way.
Really? Hey.
Right.
Michael doesn't fucking know. I think Lauren knows.
No, I just
They didn't call single print outlet, so they can go fuck themselves.
That's on a hot microphone.
I told Taylor that.
It's on the record. On the record. Oh, I guess he's in there.
Is he?
Yeah, I think he's in ceremony. Hogan said he's doing like a photo line. I would assume that would be in ceremony.
What is this new mic y'all got going on there?
Talks to the phone.
For what?
When you shoot cuts on the phone.
So you're shooting this on the phone too?
I like yours. It's longer.
Is that your phone mic?
Yeah, it's like a short.
His looks cool.
So it's just so this is really the mic.
Yeah, same.
Or just a holder.
Can we get a longer one?
And it has we have a flag.
Oh, really?
You're really feeling something about
You're feeling
It
self-conscious.
feels inadequate. It's
You
too
feel?
small. I have to hold it like this for it to be a normal length.
You feel self-conscious?
There have been like pictures where like you're chasing Johnson and it's like, why is he choking up that much on the mic? It's like because there's nothing to hold.
These mics are amazing.
Cleanest sound.
Thing just makes the phone video. Takes it.
Ryan, have you had times when the audio craps out though? Like there's some kind of connection issue or whatever?
Not yet.
It happened once for us. And there's been this fear of it ever again.
Oh, really? They've been wildly consistent.
It was, knock on wood, it hasn't happened for me. Rachel, what happened once is Rachel, someone hit something with her and Rachel just crapped out.
Rich Scott.
Because I think there's like a mute button somewhere.
Oh, yeah. I can see that.
I just want to make sure if you I got it.
Yeah, but that's how I get you off the other day I was like in cups. Yeah, the other day I was like in cups. I was like, I'm trying to get I'm sitting and I'm waiting for a meeting. And like this intern was up to me, famous for his phone, and he was like, I have a
That's not all.
I was like, oh, okay, cool. Bye. Are you guys all gonna like sit together and watch We've already seen it. They put out something. I just hate like one shot. Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
She doesn't, she uses the Peloton app. She's got like some sort of crazy.
I had like a longer stretch of time.
it's kind of becoming an obsession. Honestly, 90% of it is just you would just turn it
on me?
Yeah, I'm on it. At least now.
I'm getting shoved from behind.
She's an excuse for poor athleticism.
Did very well. You know what? I think I heard that too.
Ian's gonna. That's how Ian's gonna.
We haven't done it.
I'm wondering what's for the team.
It's like,
You have like 4 people here.
I have a baseball team, like, because I have to set up.
Look at you guys.
Oh, just generally, we have a lot of people.
Like Noah right here, just press her.
Weights.
What, 1, 2, 3, 3? Is there 4? They're your details.
They used to, when ABC goes very ham on the security, which, so I think you mentioned like
Oh my god, at every Trump rally I was at, there's so much security.
So the RNC, they got me, no, the DNC, they got me 2 guys, 2 former special operators who now just do contract work. A lot of it overseas. I never have to get them to in the U.S. I would, before I went to the bathroom, they would go to the bathroom, they would order and then go, all right, now you can go.
That's crazy.
And I was like, God, we don't need to do that.
That's wild.
And then they would say, they only did it once before I was like, please don't do this again. They stood in front of the bathroom door.
I need that, just for shits and giggles.
Great. That was the one thing is when we were like chasing people on the camera, you know, where people can get points. They were picking people out, they pushed them against the wall.
That's showers and stuff.
yeah,
And they have 2 colors.
They found him.
This square right here is the car that's at 7 mile run. And then I used to do just do it 4 or 5 times a week.
As always, what's this grass? Please don't run.
This is what's going to happen.
A lot of just stay put.
Scalise was the as chair. Co-chair his birthday. It's going to be Johnson is.
In between the 2.
Ready to go. Finish it. Run upstairs.
Thank you.
And you probably should stop.
Nice time.
Then he doesn't need more confidence. I like that. His head's already big enough.
It was like she had pain.
I wasn't reading. again. But I saw you look over and I was like, I can't even see it if I wanted to.
I was actually kind of looking for you to see if you were showing me.
Oh, okay. Thomas Massie.
No, after there was some hearing where someone saw
yeah, they took a picture, like they tweeted him out or whatever.
It's like, here, you all have like things from your phones, which I appreciate.
That's nice. Oh, canceling Jimmy Fallon.
What?
See those guys? I just can't remember those guys. Those late night folks. You canceling Kimmer?
Oh, it's me what? I put Monday night. You should say that. Fair. Say that either mic.
Ryan Noble.
Yes.
I saw Frank this morning.
Yeah?
He was riding a bike with his kids, and I was walking my dog.
Out there.
Out there.
I saw him in the world, and he was like, Reese, what's your dog's name? And I was like, Scalise. And his kid was like, it's a dog. And I was like, yeah. And that was the extent of our conversation because his light turned green and he went.
Good story.
Thanks, man.
Reese got endless fun. That was a good John Parkinson from Back in the Pack.
Yeah, it came out of nowhere. Fuck
Giving
you,
Reese
Tom.
the
Yeah.
business.
Fuck, there's like 3 of you here. Why do you go?
That's right.
It's like 3 ABC. They don't need you.
I told Reese I like to be fully staffed.
Here's 3 I hate how Slack doesn't let you copy your phone numbers. Like when you press it, it just says call.
We got off so we did it for like a couple months and then we're like, all right, well. These guys bring it to the booth, package. Clear, just for the purposes of the record, you're kidding.
Yeah, I'm not actually going to ask that.
I don't know. The world is the worst part about this is that our lunch is out. Ian has secured our lunch. That's what he said. Honestly, he might be here before the speakers.
never answered it before, though. Never did. Lauren. Never denied it. That'd be funny. That'd be worth it. That'd be worth 1,000.
My desk at 11:10. I was like, I'm gonna be late.
It's some kind of natural story. It's like serious.
It's for you.
We're waiting for you.
Yeah, it's for you. Me? Really? I mean, I never really remember it.
We're all waiting. Sorry, sir, but it's full. And he's like, oh, sorry. He walks away. Then he just comes back.
They're just going to
I remember that actually. Every time someone comes around, listen, sorry, we're going to do
Mr. Jordan. We have been here for a while.
I think an hour. I think that Olympic team is nearly a full. Oh no, I don't think Aaron's like that. Let's go.
Oh, you are in it.
Usually take at least the first 20 minutes.
Michael.
Dude? He does kind of look we're still in it. We're not going to get to it. That's pretty funny.
What are we looking on time? Soon as you said soon 30 minutes ago. Hey Frank. It's great to see you again today. I know it's crazy. Yeah. She said soon. But they all said that hour ago.
That's great, guys. Good job. Nice work.
Scoop.
This is where he's coming next.
Must credit.
You're a great reporter.
Scoop must credit. Johnson coming soon.
Does anyone say most credit?
It's a text crap. That's a new version of it.
That is very well said.
That was a good joke. I just made.
That was very
That was a good joke.
That was probably the best joke of the day. I'll give you that. That was probably the best joke of the day. like subscribe. We saw it.
He's laughing.
Nah, it was a decent joke. Recap. Because jokes are always funny the second time you tell them. She's trying not to laugh. She thinks it's funny.
That's definitely funny.
Yeah.
Came over here to get lunch.
When do you plan to vote on release the Epstein files? What is this? Why is the Senate not doing more?
It's actually good for the rest of August. That's
Who made your suit? Who are you wearing?
Frank.
Will the Senate have an August
recess?
recess?
Really excited to see you outside of the Capitol. Yeah, we saw each other this morning. He was telling everybody. Me.
How far can I pull this? This way.
What's this dog's name?
This way.
She's very cute, though.
Not that far. Yes.
As I heard her, she said like dog. You said no, it's a dog, and I was like, it is a dog.
Soon.
So soon she's ejected.
Yeah.
You don't want Reese and I in the back of the shot. Looking at her.
Or you want him as close to me as possible.
Challenging me. That's it, Reese. It's actually just for you. We could have just called you.
You shot him through, the more you get him out of it. Works for me.
I'm great.
You're like, what kind of arms?
We are canceling August recess to focus solely.
See you on Monday. No,
I've
fucking with Reese. Get
I've
out.
seated a special select committee to investigate the Epstein files. Chaired by Tim Burchett.
You don't need him
Chaired by Tim Burchett. Ranking member Jennifer Crockett. And two. Bill Donovan. Burchett and Crockett are friends. He's friends with everybody. I think they like our home.
Okay. Yeah, it's
Okay.
Yeah. This back, reporters this way.
Yes.
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 He's got a problem. He's got a problem. Yeah.
So, okay. He had a question.
Mm-hmm. The pool camera operator. Yes.
Or the reporters can move this way. He's going to be reading from a sheet. I don't want to see this remarks on Twitter. That's off the record. Or y'all can move this way. That's the deal. Or we'll just pull it. So, do we like this? I'll give you the lighting you need if y'all do not take pictures of his prepared remarks and put them on Twitter. Deal?
Deal.
Deal? Good.
That would be.
What he's going to say. They're telling me.
I did too.
How's your birthday?
It was good. Yeah, it was good.
Are they saying heads up? I would say
Hey everybody, got a few thoughts for you as we work through today. Yesterday, some of you may have seen a false headline in the New York Times, and the headline was terribly misleading. It said House Republicans are, quote, adjourning until September to avoid a vote on releasing Epstein materials. I just want you to know, and everybody here knows, that's an outright lie. It's not true. And they were forced to modify their headline and update it today. The reason is, we all know that's the initial lie travels much faster than the truth, and so we're making sure that people know what is actually going on here. I think every single one of your publications have known that the published schedule of Congress was decided in December of 2024, and it's been published ever since. We are fulfilling the calendar. We're working. We'll be working tomorrow. There have been votes every day this week. We have 9 or 10 committees working through markups this week, many tomorrow. Congress is doing its work. No one is adjourning early. We have an August district work period that is very important to the function of Congress that has been recognized for all of memory of this institution, and that is what everyone will be doing. The Times was forced to change the headline because it was completely false. No one in Congress is blocking Epstein documents. No one in Congress is doing that. What we're doing here, Republicans are preventing Democrats from making a mockery of the Rules Committee process because we refuse to engage in their political charade. That is what is happening and nothing more. The way Democrats have tried to weaponize this issue is absolutely shameless, and I just want to say this. Democrats said nothing and did nothing, absolutely nothing, about bringing transparency for the entire 4 years of the Biden presidency. But now, all of a sudden, they want the American people to believe that they actually care. Their actions belie their words. We will not be lectured on transparency by the same party that orchestrated one of the most shameless, dangerous political cover-ups in the history of the United States. And that was President Biden's obvious mental decline. House Republicans stand for maximum transparency and truth. We always have and we always will. We're in lockstep with President Trump and his administration on this issue. We are pushing for the release of all credible information to be released with regard to the Epstein matter. I would note also that there are real issues, legal issues, with the CANA resolution, with the Massie resolution. CANA's has no protection whatsoever for the victims of these horrible, unspeakable sex crimes, and Massie's doesn't go far enough. Additionally, the President has directed the Department of Justice to pursue the release of grand jury information, and that is happening as we speak. In fact, the court is processing the DOJ's request for grand jury materials as we are standing here right now. That's a very important step. We'll evaluate any necessary measures that Congress needs to undertake when that process is completed. I'm convinced the administration is thoroughly reviewing all materials and working to release all credible information while also providing protection for victims. And I've been very clear and on the record many times that we have an obligation to do that, a legal obligation and a moral obligation to protect the people who have been the victims of these unspeakable crimes so that their names are not dragged through the mud. That's a fine needle to thread, and I'm convinced that the people who are in charge with this are doing it the right way, judiciously. The Trump administration is working through the court to unseal those documents. Most of the Epstein files are under court order and sealed, so you have to go through that route to do it. All that credible information needs to come out, but they deserve the space to do that in the way that it is supposed to be done, and they are. A thorough, judicious, meticulous review to truly protect innocent people who suffer. In the meantime, on a much brighter note, the House Republicans are looking forward to going back to their districts. They have a lot to be proud of and a lot of good news to share back home. It's just 6 months of this administration and this Congress. We worked closely with President Trump. We've delivered on the mandate from the American people. We have the safest border now in the history of the country. Inflation is cooling. We passed one of the most consequential pieces of legislation in the history of this institution, the One Big Beautiful Bill. And what that did, as you know, was it secured the largest tax cut for American workers, the largest single investment in border security and national defense in generations, the largest reduction in spending in the history of any government on planet Earth, and much more. President Trump is making historic trade deals to balance the playing field and bring trillions of dollars of investment into America. As a side note, I will tell you, I was in the Oval Office last night for the historic moment where he made the trade deal with Japan. It was really something to see. I'll write a book about it one day. The Art of the Deal. It was a masterclass. We passed over 250 bills. We voted to codify 50 of President Trump's executive actions, and we're just getting started. He has signed into law so far important legislation like the Lake and Riley Act, the Halt Fentanyl Act, the Take It Down Act, the Genius Act, and of course the $9 billion rescissions package. In just 6 months, President Trump and House Republicans have made safer, stronger, and more prosperous America. We have worked to do that, fulfilling our campaign promises, and there's much more to come. And during the district work period, we'll be crisscrossing our districts and sharing with constituents the impact of all that hard work here on Capitol Hill. So I'll just conclude this and take a couple questions by saying as we break apart here now to go home for the district work period, there's a lot to share with our constituents, a lot to share, a lot of good news, and we're looking forward to everyone feeling the positive effects of the work that's been done here so far.
Mr. Speaker, based on what? Can I just ask you, do you feel like your Republican conference has gotten away from you on this Epstein issue? You saw yesterday Comer announcing that there is going to be a subpoena for Ghislaine Maxwell. Do you support the House Oversight Committee's work, and do you support the work of your members who do want more transparency on this?
Of course. Look, there's no daylight between members of the House Republican Conference, or for that matter, between us and the White House. I fully support my committee chairs. Jamie Comer is a trusted friend. He's an excellent chairman of the Oversight Committee, and he has a duty and responsibility to follow the truth where it leads. And so every single one of us are for maximum transparency, and we'll use every power that we have to ensure that that's done. If they see fit to bring in Ghislaine Maxwell for testimony, that's fine. I will note the obvious concern, the caveat that Chairman Comer and I and everyone has, that could she be counted on to tell the truth? Is she a credible witness? I mean, this is a person who's been sentenced to many, many years in prison for terrible, unspeakable conspiratorial acts and acts against innocent young people. I mean, can we trust what she's going to say? Even if she raises her hand and says that she'll testify under oath, is that something that can be trusted? You know, that's a reasonable question. Is that credible evidence? I don't know. But we'll have to see. We have to, uncover everything that we can and let the American people evaluate.
Is there concern? I mean, obviously we've seen the conservatives shut down the House floor routinely. You saw that you had to pull the rule because of fear of Epstein votes.
No, we don't have any fear. No, hold on. No, Reese, no. There's no fear here. No, there's no fear. There's no fear. We're not going to allow the Democrats to use this as a political cudgel. Remember, they had 4 years. Hold on. The Biden administration held the Epstein files for 4 years. Not a single one of these Democrats or anyone in Congress made any peep about that at all. They could have brought a discharge petition at any point in the last 4 years. They chose not to. They waited until President Trump was elected. I think that's very suspect. And I will not allow the House to be drug into political gamesmanship.
Based on the promises that Republicans made to voters over Jeffrey Epstein, why not more of a sense of urgency? Why not just hold a vote today?
There's no point in having a vote today because the administration is already doing everything within their power to release them. They've gone to the grand jury. They've requested the courts to unseal the documents so that they can be released. The president himself has said all credible evidence should be put out to the American people while protecting the innocent. That's where we stand as well. There's no point in passing a resolution to urge the administration to do something that they are already doing. And so that's why we're going to let that process play out. This is not out of fear in any way. What we're trying to do is maximize transparency and stand for the truth. We want, wait, let me say this, very important. We want every single person who is involved in any way in the Epstein evils to be brought to swift justice. We want the full weight of the law to fall upon their head. And I will do everything within my power to make sure that is possible. That process is underway right now, and we'll see how it plays out.
Mr. Speaker, you keep using the phrase that there's no daylight between you and the White House.
Yeah.
Don't you have a responsibility to build some daylight between you and the White House? You are a leader of a co-equal branch of government. Isn't part of what your members are concerned about is that there needs to be a second set of eyes?
I'm the leader of the most important branch of government. In my view, it is Article 1. And if I see that Article 1 and our authority is being breached in any way, I'll act upon it. I'm a jealous guardian of our responsibility here, our constitutional authority, and that most important branch of government, in a government of, by, and for the people. But I will tell you this right now. When I say there's no daylight between me and the president, we talk about this privately. He's spoken about it publicly. I have as well. He's trying to achieve the same exact objective that we are, that every member of the House Republican Conference wants to achieve, and that is to let the American people decide. This information should have come out a long time ago. I've been an advocate of that. We all have. But that process is underway right now. Now, we've got to jealously guard that and protect it and make sure it's happening. And if it doesn't, then we'll take appropriate action when everybody returns here. But we have to allow the court process to play out. That's how it works. I used to be a litigator. There is a standard here, a legal standard that everybody cannot forget. The courts, law enforcement, and government agencies have to protect the innocent. And the way you do that is you are very careful not to release names of victims or release it in a haphazard manner so that their names could be unmasked in some way, because it would destroy their lives. And anybody who's been swept up into that. So that's what the Justice Department is doing. I think they're doing a deliberate job right now, and our job as the Article 1 branch is to allow the executive to do that. If it doesn't come to fruition, then we will act, but we have to allow that time to process.
President Obama committed treason.
today. Yesterday, some of you may have seen a false headline in the New York Times, and the headline was terribly misleading. It said House Republicans are, quote, adjourning until September to avoid a vote on releasing Epstein materials. I just want you to know, and everybody here knows, that's an outright lie. It's not true. And they were forced to modify their headline and update it today. The reason is, we all know that's the initial lie travels much faster than the truth, and so we're making sure that people know what is actually going on here. I think every single one of your publications have known that the published schedule of Congress was decided in December of 2024, and it's been published ever since. We are fulfilling the calendar. We're working. We'll be working tomorrow. There have been votes every day this week. We have 9 or 10 committees working through markups this week, many tomorrow. Congress is doing its work. No one is adjourning early. We have an August district work period that is very important to the function of Congress that has been recognized for all of memory of this institution, and that is what everyone will be doing. The Times was forced to change the headline because it was completely false. No one in Congress is blocking Epstein documents. No one in Congress is doing that. What we're doing here, Republicans are preventing Democrats from making a mockery of the Rules Committee process because we refuse to engage in their political charade. That is what is happening and nothing more. The way Democrats have tried to weaponize this issue is absolutely shameless, and I just want to say this. Democrats said nothing and did nothing, absolutely nothing, about bringing transparency for the entire 4 years of the Biden presidency. But now, all of a sudden, they want the American people to believe that they actually care. Their actions belie their words. We will not be lectured on transparency by the same party that orchestrated one of the most shameless, dangerous political cover-ups in the history of the United States. And that was President Biden's obvious mental decline. House Republicans stand for maximum transparency and truth. We always have and we always will. We're in lockstep with President Trump and his administration on this issue. We are pushing for the release of all credible information to be released with regard to the Epstein matter. I would note also that there are real issues, legal issues, with the CANA resolution, with the Massie resolution. CANA's has no protection whatsoever for the victims of these horrible, unspeakable sex crimes, and Massie's doesn't go far enough. Additionally, the President has directed the Department of Justice to pursue the release of grand jury information, and that is happening as we speak. In fact, the court is processing the DOJ's request for grand jury materials as we are standing here right now. That's a very important step. We'll evaluate any necessary measures that Congress needs to undertake when that process is completed. I'm convinced the administration is thoroughly reviewing all materials and working to release all credible information while also providing protection for victims. And I've been very clear and on the record many times that we have an obligation to do that, a legal obligation and a moral obligation to protect the people who have been the victims of these unspeakable crimes so that their names are not dragged through the mud. That's a fine needle to thread, and I'm convinced that the people who are in charge with this are doing it the right way, judiciously. The Trump administration is working through the court to unseal those documents. Most of the Epstein files are under court order and sealed, so you have to go through that route to do it. All that credible information needs to come out, but they deserve the space to do that in the way that it is supposed to be done, and they are. A thorough, judicious, meticulous review to truly protect innocent people who suffered. In the meantime, on a much brighter note, the House Republicans are looking forward to going back to their districts. They have a lot to be proud of and a lot of good news to share back home. It's just 6 months of this administration and this Congress. We worked closely with President Trump. We've delivered on the mandate from the American people. We have the safest border now in the history of the country. Inflation is cooling. We passed one of the most consequential pieces of legislation in the history of this institution, the One Big Beautiful Bill. And what that did, as you know, was it secured the largest tax cut for American workers, the largest single investment in border security and national defense in generations, the largest reduction in spending in the history of any government on planet Earth, and much more. President Trump is making historic trade deals to balance the playing field and bring trillions of dollars of investment into America. As a side note, I will tell you, I was in the Oval Office last night for the historic moment where he made the trade deal with Japan. It was really something to see. I'll write a book about it one day. The Art of the Deal. It was a masterclass. We passed over 250 bills. We voted to codify 50 of President Trump's executive actions, and we're just getting started. He has signed into law so far important legislation like the Lake and Riley Act, the Halt Fentanyl Act, the Take It Down Act, the Genius Act, and of course the $9 billion rescissions package. In just 6 months, President Trump and House Republicans have made safer, stronger, and more prosperous America. We have work to do that, fulfilling our campaign promises, and there's much more to come. And during the district work period, we'll be crisscrossing our districts and sharing with constituents the impact of all that hard work here on Capitol Hill. So I'll just conclude this and take a couple questions by saying, as we break apart here now to go home for the district work period, there's a lot to share with our constituents, a lot to share, a lot of good news, and we're looking forward to everyone feeling the positive effects of the work that's been done here so far. Couple questions.
Speaker, based on what? Can I just ask you, do you feel like your Republican conference has gotten away from you on this Epstein issue? You saw yesterday Comer announcing that there is going to be a subpoena for Ghislaine Maxwell. Do you support the House Oversight Committee's work, and do you support the work of your members who do want more transparency on this issue?
Of course. Look, there's no daylight between members of the House Republican Conference, or for that matter, between us and the White House. I fully support my committee chairs. Jamie Comer is a trusted friend. He's an excellent chairman of the Oversight Committee, and he has a duty and responsibility to follow the truth where it leads. And so every single one of us are for maximum transparency, and we'll use every power that we have to ensure that that's done. If they see fit to bring in Ghislaine Maxwell for testimony, that's fine. I will note the obvious concern, the caveat that Chairman Comer and I and everyone has, that could she be counted on to tell the truth? Is she a credible witness? I mean, this is a person who's been sentenced to many, many years in prison for terrible, unspeakable conspiratorial acts and acts against innocent young people. I mean, can we trust what she's going to say? Even if she raises her hand and says that she'll testify under oath, is that something that can be trusted? You know, that's a reasonable question. Is that credible evidence? I don't know. But we'll have to see. We have to, uncover everything that we can and let the American people evaluate.
Is there concern? I mean, obviously we've seen the conservatives shut down the House floor routinely. You saw that you had to pull the rule because of fear of Epstein votes.
No, we don't have any fear. No, hold on. No, Reese, no. There's no fear here. No, there's no fear. There's no fear. We're not going to allow the Democrats to use this as a political cudgel. Remember, they had 4 years. Hold on. The Biden administration held the Epstein files for 4 years. Not a single one of these Democrats or anyone in Congress made any peep about that at all. They could have brought a discharge petition at any point in the last 4 years. They chose not to. They waited until President Trump was elected. I think that's very suspect. And I will not allow the House to be drug into political gamesmanship.
Based on the promises that Republicans made to voters over Jeffrey Epstein, why not more of a sense of urgency? Why not just hold the vote today?
There's no point in having a vote today because the administration is already doing everything within their power to release them. They've gone to the grand jury. They've requested the courts to unseal the documents so that they can be released. The president himself has said all credible evidence should be put out to the American people while protecting the innocent. That's where we stand as well. There's no point in passing a resolution to urge the administration to do something that they are already doing. And so that's why we're going to let that process play out. This is not out of fear in any way. What we're trying to do is maximize transparency and stand for the truth. We want, wait, let me say this, very important. We want every single person who was involved in any way in the Epstein evils to be brought to swift justice. We want the full weight of the law to fall upon their head. And I will do everything within my power to make sure that is possible. That process is underway right now, and we'll see how it plays out.
Mr. Speaker, you keep using the phrase that there's no daylight between you and the White House.
Yeah.
Don't you have a responsibility to build some daylight between you and the White House? You are a leader of a co-equal branch of government. Isn't part of what your members are concerned about is that there needs to be a second set of eyes?
I'm the leader of the most important branch of government. In my view, it is Article 1. And if I see that Article 1 and our authority is being breached in any way, I'll act upon it. I'm a jealous guardian of our responsibility here, our constitutional authority, and that most important branch of government, in a government of, by, and for the people. But I will tell you this right now. When I say there's no daylight between me and the president, we talk about this privately. He's spoken about it publicly. I have as well. He's trying to achieve the same exact objective that we are, that every member of the House Republican Conference wants to achieve, and that is to let the American people decide. This information should have come out a long time ago. I've been an advocate of that. We all have. But that process is underway right now. Now, we've got to jealously guard that and protect it and make sure it's happening. And if it doesn't, then we'll take appropriate action when everybody returns here. But we have to allow the court process to play out. That's how it works. I used to be a litigator. There is a standard here, a legal standard that everybody cannot forget. The courts, law enforcement, and government agencies have to protect the innocent. And the way you do that is you are very careful not to release names of victims or release it in a haphazard manner so that their names could be unmasked in some way because it would destroy their lives. And and anybody who's been swept up into that. So that's what the Justice Department is doing. I think they're doing a deliberate job right now, and our job as the Article I branch is to allow the executive to do that. If it doesn't come to fruition, then we will act, but we have to allow that time to process.
President Obama committed treason.
Today. Yesterday, some of you may have seen a false headline in the New York Times, and the headline was terribly misleading. It said House Republicans are, quote, adjourning until September to avoid a vote on releasing Epstein materials. I just want you to know, and everybody here knows, that's an outright lie. It's not true. And they were forced to modify their headline and update it today. The reason is, we all know that's the initial lie travels much faster than the truth, and so we're making sure that people know what is actually going on here. I think every single one of your publications have known that the published schedule of Congress was decided in December of 2024, and it's been published ever since. We are fulfilling the calendar. We're working. We'll be working tomorrow. There have been votes every day this week. We have 9 or 10 committees working through markups this week, many tomorrow. Congress is doing its work. No one is adjourning early. We have an August district work period that is very important to the function of Congress that has been recognized for all of memory of this institution, and that is what everyone will be doing. The Times was forced to change the headline because it was completely false. No one in Congress is blocking Epstein documents. No one in Congress is doing that. What we're doing here, Republicans are preventing Democrats from making a mockery of the Rules Committee process because we refuse